Doing that.
You're live.
Okay. Well, thanks, Roland, for that intro. I appreciate that. Just really quickly, I just was getting to know a little bit where everybody is from. Richard and Beth, I know, are from Edmonton now. Ron is at Cochrane. Roland is with Northmount. And is it Airdrie, Roland?
Airdrie, Strathmore, and RX Montana.
Oh, Montana, all right. Canada's our Western Canada governor is from Thunder Bay. Perry, where are you from?
I'm president of the Kiwanis Club of Medicine Hat.
Medicine Hat, right. Okay, thanks. Sorry. Sue is at Chinook, Calgary Chinook. You there, Sue?
Yes, I am, George, thanks.
And Bob is with Northmount, longstanding member of Northmount. And I think I've covered everybody there. Have I missed anybody? I think that's it. It just helps to know where we're all from and that. I am with the Downtown Kiwanis Club of Calgary, which owned and operated Camp Kiwanis up until last year when it needed to become a separate entity onto its own, a separate nonprofit organization on its own. So the Downtown Kiwanis Club now is supporting it along with Northmount, Chinook, Cochrane, Airdrie, Metro, the clubs all and Chinook all in Calgary and around Calgary supporting that new organization. What I'm going to talk about here is it focuses around inclusiveness, but it's about a very specific program that was designed in partnership with the Kiwanis organization. And we wanted to make more clubs aware of an initiative that we're trying to do within Western Canada in hopes that there might be some interest within your club to help support students getting involved in this inclusive program called Connections. And what Roland has shared there is just some quick highlights. This is a program that has been going on since 1987 in various manners. It's grown since 1987 and then it's decreased because of the way the funding is. So Roland, can we go back up to the top there? It's a high school diversity, anti-racism, leadership education program. It is about inclusivity, but it is much more than that. And we are trying to tie it in with key clubs. So it has a lot of relevance to our Kiwanis organization, partly because Kiwanis was a partner in helping design it back in 1987. We ran it out of Camp Kiwanis, and Ken Allen, myself, and McKenna Beijing are looking at creating an initiative within Western Canada of different clubs throughout the district, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, at looking into this program as a possibility for them to support students in their areas to be participants in this program. It is an Alberta education approved program. Students do get credit for it and can get credit. It's about that quote there. We'll go just down a little bit. That quote there, "Be the change you want to see in the world," by Gandhi. Really guiding principle for us with regards to what the program is all about. We're trying to have students learn about what they can do using their own personal leadership skills to become the change that they want to see in the world with regards to diversity issues. And there are some key points there. The Connections program encourages students to become the change that they want to see in the world. And then the bullet points, expanding awareness of diversity issues and fostering cross-cultural understanding. By working together to fight ethnocentrism, stereotyping, racism, prejudice, and discrimination. Those are the issues surrounding diversity in our society. Whether it's in Alberta here in Ontario, those four key things: stereotyping, prejudice, the racism, and discrimination. When we talk with students, we try to get them to understand that we believe that diversity is a powerful thing in our society. We believe inclusion is critical to maintaining, a safe society. and one that is thriving for every individual. But in order to do that, we have to understand that unfortunately with diversity comes these issues that people may have, prior biases that leads to the stereotyping, the prejudice, the discrimination, and racism. It's understanding that these issues will exist as diversity increases, but it's how you act as an ally in supporting people of diverse backgrounds and supporting our society and people that are being influenced or impacted by those issues: stereotyping, discrimination, prejudice, racism, etc. Sorry, Roland, can you just go down a little bit? I want to hit those other bullet points there. Keep going down, up, sorry. Keep going.
One man's up is another man's down.
Yeah, there it is right there. By working together to fight ethnocentrism, we want the students to realize they can become allies. That's a real buzzword these days in the world, in education, in diversity education, allies. But in order to become an ally, you need to understand what your skill sets are, what your leadership are, what the issues are. And so students take this program to learn more about becoming an ally and how they can use their leadership skills to make that happen in the school. By empowering students to develop and utilize their personal leadership skills to affect positive change, and by connecting with nature and recognizing diverse issues in the environment. We do tie in environmental diversity in this program as well too. So it's just scrolling down a little bit. Yep. So there's the goal of the Connections program, is providing students with an immersion program opportunity that creates a better understanding of the diverse nature of our schools and society. During this process, leadership skills are developed in cross-cultural understanding, race relations, anti-racism, stereotyping, and environmental stewardship. And you go to overview, up a bit, yep. And this is what the program consists of. It's a semester-long program for students. We are working with key clubs in various high schools and have met with some very interested teachers in getting more of their key club students involved in it. But we've also had teachers come out of the program that have gotten involved looking at establishing new key clubs. So it kind of works both ways, where we're getting existing key clubs interested in participating in this program, and we're getting teachers that are looking at developing some key clubs based on the students that they've had participated in this program and their interest to go to the next step. What do we do now? How can we contribute in different ways? And we point out that there's a Kiwanis connection here, and that there are Kiwanis clubs willing to sponsor key clubs. And so we're starting to generate that interest. And with that in mind, as I said, Ken Allen and McKenna and myself are looking at ways of piloting a Western Canada program next year, where we have students from beyond Alberta participating. This program has three key components: the pre-trip component, which involves students, once they are registered in the program, they are put into online study groups that in their study group, there are students representing the different high schools participating. So for example, we just completed our first post-COVID program last week. We ran a program, I shouldn't say completed, but we completed part 2 of the program. There's 3 components: the pre-trip, the on-site that you see there, and then the post-trip. The pre-trip is where the students are working with each other online, answering discussion topics that are getting them to think more about these topics of stereotyping, discrimination, leadership, etc. They are working just with their small group of 7 or 8 students online. Even though there might be 60 students doing the program, they're only working with their 7 or 8 that they are placed in, so that they get to know what other schools are participating in the program. The on-site component is where all these students arrive at Camp Kiwanis. Now, this is a little dated because we've been running the program at Camp Kiwanis for 36 years, and we've flown students in from Fort McMurray, bussed them in from Edmonton and Brooks and Drumheller and Medicine Hat, Calgary, and they all arrive on Monday on the designated on-site week. So last week it would have been Monday. They would have arrived and for supper, and then the program runs from Monday evening until Friday afternoon, at which time they depart. They stay for 4 nights, and Camp Kiwanis was our host. This year and for the next couple of years, we are leasing out different facilities to run our Camp Kiwanis programs. That includes the summer program, the outdoor school, and connections program. So last week we ran it out of Camp Horizon, which is about 20 minutes far past Camp Kiwanis. So the sites can change, the program stays the same. But the intent of the on-site, research showed us years ago when we were putting this program together, that to enhance and enrich a program's impact on students, having an immersion program where students come and meet each other from different areas of the province was critical to having it have a long-term impact on the students. But that long-term impact was enhanced by what they did prior to coming out, the pre-trip activities and the post-trip activities. So they come out for the 4 days there, and at that time they are in study groups there, but they work together. But we bring in these incredible facilitators that do their workshops nationally and internationally, and we bring them in from all different areas of diversity. And when we talk about diversity, we're not talking about just cultural diversity. We're talking about understanding about physical diversity, mental diversity, LGBTQ diversity, gender issues, body imaging diversity, etc. It's a wide umbrella that we include when we talk about diversity. And these presenters work with the students in hands-on immersion activities, experiential activities. It's not sitting and listening to 45-minute or hour lectures or anything like that. It is having them come present, do breakout rooms, do some activities outdoors. It is about getting them immersed, and it's a very powerful experience. The feedback that we get from students and teachers for the overall program is huge, and in particular for the 4-day immersion, where they love getting together. They love to share that. They love to get to know other students and hear from speakers and have that 4 days of intense immersion. These are feedbacks from students that Roland is scrolling down, and I'll just let you have a quick look at that. Roland, if you could just scroll back up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. These are comments from students about the program was amazing. It really, that's far enough. It makes me think and helps me make better decisions and learn about racism. Plus, I made great friends. Scroll up a little bit. Although Connections is a school course, it does not feel like one at all. Connections is a hands-on experience that teaches you things no textbook will. It's an experience that allows you to meet new people and learn lifetime skills. Connections is worthwhile. Everything is important. Everything contributed to my views of the world. You can kind of read the rest there. The last one, bottom one, says, I could never say enough about this program. It was so life-changing to me. Those are typical comments of students that have done the program. Extremely powerful impact on these students. Stop right there at the post-trip. The post-trip component, once they get back, so now that the students are back from their 4-day, they still need to do some online reflections and online discussions with their fellow students, but then they are also asked to do a final Be the Change project. It's called a Be the Change project that impacts their school in a positive manner and is shared online with other students. But their project is not one that they write up and give to their teacher to mark. It's a project that they put together to present to another group of students, and they get to choose the topic that they feel is relevant to their school. It might be they want to raise awareness about Indigenous issues or First Nations issues. It may be something to do with LGBTQ. It may be something to do with anti-bullying or creating more awareness about gender issues, or any topic that they feel is relevant to them and to their school. Again, these Be the Change projects have had a major impact on schools. We have had principals, again, very much give us feedback about how much they appreciated the impact that this program has had and the projects that were done at their school. Teachers, students, again, feeling very positive about what they've done. We've had this program evaluated by research companies, and their feedback has been that this is from their research and spending an enormous amount of time watching the program, interviewing students 3 months after they've done the program to 6 months and a year afterwards. The impact of this program is the strongest that they've seen in the world for diversity education. So we have that, black and white research to back up what this program does. That's it in a nutshell. I do have 2 quick videos I'd like to show you that we're going to pull up here really quickly that I hope they're about 4 minutes each. And one video here, I've got one queued up right now. Ooh, I lost everybody here. Roland, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can't see anybody here anymore. Interesting. There, I'm back now.
Yeah,
All right.
so I need to share the screen. So Seeds connection number 1.
Yeah, which
Sure.
one is that? There's one that I only want to show a part of, Roland.
It's live TV. You tell me
Yeah.
as long as it starts from the beginning.
Yep. That's not
And
it.
I chose Wix, and it was really because the
Oh, okay.
aesthetic that
Skip the ad,
Wix
skip the ad.
brought to my brand really elevated my brand. I do advertisements through Wix to Instagram and to Facebook, which in turn bring me.
Can you skip that ad? There you go.
The mission of Seeds Connections is to empower Canadian youth to create and achieve powerful and positive change in themselves and in their communities. Since 2011, over 1,100 Alberta
Is it blue
students
for you
have
guys?
participated in our diversity leadership
Yeah.
program called Connections.
The
Not the way
Connections
it's
program
supposed to be.
is an incredibly powerful 5-credit
A
course. that
young
students
version of George
are involved
Taven.
in with other students from around the province. They work online, preparing themselves with other students from around the province, where they learn from these incredible experts.
So my name is Walter McDonald Whitebear.
Is Allison Springer, and I am proud to be a part of the Connections team.
Been with the Connections program for about 12 years now.
I've been involved
with Connections as long as I remember, close 7-8 years.
I have not seen its equal in terms of breaking down barriers and stereotypes.
Drastic change in the attitude and the behavior.
I've spoken at a number of different leadership groups, but this one's different.
The more startling effect of the program is the long-term effects that it has on our students as they grow into adults.
To the best of my knowledge, there are no other programs that have demonstrated sustained results where attitudes and beliefs stay improved over time. More importantly, I don't think there's another program in the world that has demonstrated that behaviors can be changed, and that is exactly what Connections accomplishes.
Learning about the issues surrounding diversity education, those issues being stereotyping, discrimination, prejudice, racism. The whole intent of the program is to provide these students with knowledge and a sense that they can make a difference back in their schools.
I went to camp in the spring of 2015, and no one's actually trying to work towards something like a mark or an end product or a goal. What we're trying to do is trying to learn.
I'd go back in a heartbeat and do the entire thing over if I could.
This initiative will allow 75 students from Calgary and area schools to participate in the Connections program. Those 150 students over the 2 years will produce Be the Change projects that will impact an additional 9,000 students, teachers, and community leaders.
One of the wonderful aspects of supporting this program is it has given our employees the opportunity to also engage with the organization. So we've had many employees go out, volunteer, speak, judge.
Some of the opportunities include being mentors to students who are participating in the Connections program, or to invite those students to come and present to employees.
And that has had a tremendous impact on our employees, as well as the youth that have been benefiting from the program.
Attending the on-site portion of the program out at Camp Kiwanis would provide an opportunity to engage with the students and to also observe the program in action.
If you want to see maximum impact in the schools throughout the province of Alberta, then investment in Connections leadership is where it's at.
All right, thanks. That was a bit of a video made primarily to include the presenters, the impact that the presenters are feeling that they see from the program, to highlight that we have some sponsors like RBC and Synovus Energy involved in the program. Just to give kind of an overview that people are recognizing this program has a major impact on students. The next video, it interviews mainly teachers and students that have done the program. And then I'll just start to wrap up a little bit and see if you have any questions about it. Roland, do you want to click on the next video there? Or do you want me to try share it? I wonder if I can do it. Or are you going to do it? You're mute.
I will do it.
Okay.
So share screen.
And again, this is about 4 minutes in length.
Experience not worth passing up. It's once in a lifetime. It's unique and it's just incredible.
Got me inspired to like want to make a difference and
just changing and opening my eyes to a whole new experience.
The Connections program is sort of the meat of sliced bread in the sense of the opportunities for growth in leadership and understanding about the environment and respect for diversity and multiculturalism.
The focus is having students participate in some online work before they come out to a 4-day residential workshop where we bring these wonderful guest speakers, facilitators, instructors to do workshops with them on these various issues that I mentioned earlier, racism, stereotyping, leadership, and giving the students those skills to go back to their schools and make a difference. And then there's a post-trip online component that involves them doing some discussions with their fellow students that they were here with, as well as working on a final project that they do that impacts their school, their high school, in a positive way.
There's absolutely no question that they had an impact with this project and that kids became involved in it and they haven't forgotten it.
It's just those experiences that you can't put in words and express how much it changed your life, because it's just heartwarming to every person thanks to connections.
This program can change the culture of our schools to make them safer, happier, more environmentally conscious places.
I would love to see this program integrated in more schools with more kids getting involved and more communities getting involved.
And knit together and create an understanding beyond just our own comfortable little world.
If I'm graduating students from the Connections program that I know are respectful of individual rights and freedoms, that are empathetic to others, that can communicate with other people, that have an understanding of themselves as members of a global society.
And they become the citizens and leaders who will make a difference in this world in the future.
Okay, Roland, that's it. It will carry on here. You need to exit out. Great, thanks. So those are two quick videos that are on our website, the seedsconnections.org website, at the very front page, the home page, to introduce anybody wanting more information about the Connections program. But I hopefully you got a sense from these videos and the students speaking, teachers, presenters, that it's a very, very powerful experience for the teachers, for the students involved, and that it carries over into what they do at their schools. And that's a really unique thing. There are a lot of leadership programs that are offered on weekends or in the summertime, This one stands out as one of the people that was interviewed in the first one with the Gwen Cooper group. She was involved in part of the research, and she talked about the fact that in their research, this program stood out as being very unique in terms of the long-term impact that it has on students, because they did a longitudinal study with them over a course of a year. It was quite an expensive research project that they did over the course of a year, interviewing parents and students that did the program, parents of students that did the program, and what they were noticing in their students. And the results were very, very gratifying in terms of doing what we had hoped that it was always going to do. And now we have the scientific evidence to prove it and support it. So we're hoping that those interviews give a sense of what the program's all about, although it's always difficult when you've never experienced a program to really truly get the power of it. But we're hoping that those interviews by students and teachers and that provide a little bit of that. Ron? I think you're muted, Ron.
Oh, there you go. So a couple of questions.
Yep.
What is the target audience? Junior high, senior high? Is one question.
Right
and
now.
Secondly, what kind of cost is there for the school or for a Kiwanis club that want to subsidize a program?
Okay. Right now, the target audience is high school students because it's a 5-credit course. Students that do this program are able to receive 5 credits towards their high school diploma, where whatever they get in the course, 85, 90, 95, goes towards their grade point average as well too, which impacts them in terms of getting scholarships and that. So we point that out to students that it is something very relevant in our society now, but also benefits them towards their high school diploma with regards to credits. And most students that do this, it's participation based. It's not test based or assignment based. So most students get between 85 and 100% in the course because they are actively involved in it. So right now it is high school based. We have had requests from teachers that are familiar with the program that were high school teachers and now become principals of junior highs and elementaries, asking, have we got something that their junior highs and elementary students can get involved in? And at this time, we did pilot a junior high program last year during COVID, which was mainly online with a few field trips. And we learned a lot, but we know that we have to do a lot more work to make it more appropriate for junior highs. We got some good feedback there, but that is on the back burners right now about possibly looking at offering something at younger grades. But the target audience right now are high school students because they can get the credits, and the way the course is set up, it is much more set up for their cognitive level of engagement. It is a higher cognitive level of engagement that is required for students. So it's more appropriate for high school right now. We'd have to do a lot more changes for others, but that just so that you know. Cost, we have sponsors. I'll give you the bottom line cost in terms of if we did not have any sponsors, if we did not have any grants from foundations or subsidies, to run this program, bare bones, it costs $1,500 per student to run this program, running about 60 students per session. That's $90,000 per session. And that includes all those costs in there include the rental of the facility, the pre-trip work that's set up, the cost of the online, etc. work that is required, both pre-trip, post-trip, the room and board facility and rental of the facility, the food services once they're out there, all the guest speakers, transportation. We fly in students from Fort McMurray. Recently, just prior to COVID breaking out in 2020, the last program run before 2020 COVID hit, we had students from Baker Lake, which is just on the west side of Hudson Bay up in Nunavut. And they had an incredible experience. They want to do it again. So we're looking at expanding the program, but when you add it all up, it costs about $1,500 per student. We don't charge that to the students. We've had Synovus involvement. They've, because of the economy over the last few years, they have not been doing any community outreach, but they're still attached to the program and wanting to get involved in the near future. RBC has been involved. Several government agencies have been involved. So the cost now comes down to about $275 per student is what there's a registration cost for the students, and schools are responsible for helping to cover the substitute costs for teachers, because when a teacher comes out with their students from the school, they bring 6 to 10 students. They require a substitute at their school, and the schools are responsible for trying to cover that. That doesn't always happen, so we do build in some subsidies to help some schools out that just for some reason can't meet those costs, or the kids can't find the $275 for whatever reason. And then the remaining amount has been covered by grants, sponsorship, etc., which we are out of at this point in time because of COVID. We weren't able to run programs the last couple of years, so we couldn't apply for any grants, etc. And now we're in the process now of starting to write up some new grants, talking to RBC, Synovus, and a few other companies to start up for next year. But in that process, since we're kind of rebuilding it, Ken and I started to talk about the possibility of running a pilot program, including students from Thunder Bay, Fort Francis, and other possibilities for Manitoba to include in a bit of a pilot program for Western Canada. Ken, I don't know if you want to say anything to that, or
yeah, I think certainly as far as Western Canada goes, Thunder Bay is a community that could benefit from this kind of programming. We're reaching out in the community to educators and to the city of Thunder Bay. I mean, this is the kind of program that not only to do it for the right things, but it would perhaps help our brand. Those of you that watch things on Crave TV, there's a series that has just been released featuring the city of Thunder Bay, and not in a good way, a lot of focus on systemic racism, and having a solution demonstrating that extra value of Kiwanis and helping to support a program that's needed, I think is, we're going to try and see if there's interest in doing some sort of a pilot. And George, I know that we talked about what that might look like. I think it's not likely that we would get a bunch of students being sent to Alberta, but maybe we could look at the feasibility of running a program on the other side of the district. So we're really quite interested to see what the receptivity is at this part of the district, and perhaps all points in between as well.
And that's why we're now in the process of trying to create awareness in the Kiwanis world, starting today with everybody here, that this is an initiative that we're looking to explore, to try running a pilot program with students from across Western Canada for next spring. So plenty of lead time for this. So Ron, that was a long answer to your question.
And I think Sue has her hand up as well.
Hi. Thanks, George. That was really, I had no idea about that program. So how would students get involved or enrolled in that program? Is it through the schools, or do they have to be suggested by a teacher, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it is school-based. We need a teacher right now, the way it is structured right now, and who knows, as the future moves on, how that may evolve. But right now it is a school-based program where a teacher that is interested, a principal might be interested, and they assign a teacher to it. But the bottom line is you need a teacher that sponsors the students, that is connected to the program, and they select their students. It does have to be selected students because you are bringing them for a 4-day overnight. There's all sorts of supervision issues, legal liability. So this is not a program that we're saying, listen, give us your most racist kids and we're going to turn them around into being these open-minded, hugging people.
Yeah.
Okay. It is for students that have an interest in this, there's a criteria list that we
Yeah,
go
okay,
over with teachers, and they handpick their students, or they open it up to students saying, "Are you interested?" The school is willing to support some students, et cetera, et cetera. And
so,
each school
so,
then selects 6 to 10 students. We don't let a school bring more than 10 students because we want diversity in each program.
yeah. So
Uh,
each school needs to be aware of the program?
Well, it comes both ways. Sometimes it's a principal, it's networking, and sometimes it's a principal that has heard about this program through teachers conventions that we've been doing, et cetera.
Okay,
And they bring it to their school and they ask what, or they target some teachers and say, "Listen, I'd really like to do this." And sometimes it's teacher initiative. Some teachers will bring it to the school and say, "Listen, we've heard about this program. We really want to do it. George is available to come in and do a meeting with us, et cetera." And the teacher initiates it at the school and says, "Okay, we're going to do this," because it is an extracurricular program. It is not something that we're saying, "Listen, you have to timetable this in." They
Right.
meet with their students on a weekly basis at lunch or after school, because it's an extracurricular activity, but it does carry 5 credits
right.
with it.
Okay, all right,
You know,
thanks.
John, you,
Beth, I
sorry,
see.
I
I
hope
think
that-
Beth has a question first,
Yeah, Beth,
George.
you're
You're on
on.
mute, Beth.
Yeah, I do. Two questions actually. So, you're looking to do this on like 2024, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Also, what can a student leadership advisor do, if anything, to promote this program?
Well, we have in place a method that works, that we've been doing this for 36 years. So if there is a teacher that, for example, Ken and McKenna both have some teachers that are interested perhaps in doing it, they're going to put them in touch with me. And we have a method that we kind of work through in terms of what has worked in the past for teachers in terms of recruiting students, presenting it. Part of that, definitely, if they've never done the program before, it absolutely involves having me come and do a presentation and orientation. Because if you've never done it, you can show those videos, but you can't really speak to the heart of the program and answer a lot of detailed questions that students might have. Certainly some teachers will say, "All right, you know, I've got a crew. I've talked to kids about this. I've got 20 or 30 kids interested. I now need to, you know, give them more details and pare it down to 10 or whatever." And that's where I would come in to go and do a presentation, at least for now. I'm the person that does that, to go and visit. And that's part of my job. I'm a retired educator. The last 20 years of my career, I worked on this program with the school board and Alberta Education, designing it so it could be a 5-credit course. The last 10 years, I was seconded. So the school board loaned me out to Seeds Connections, and they had funds from Synovus and RBC and the Alberta government to cover my salary. So I was still a Calgary Board of Education employee, but I was seconded. I was loaned out to them solely to develop this program, run it, and create awareness. So we had over 62 high schools participating in this program a few years ago, running 7 sessions throughout the year, 3 in the fall, 4 in the spring, and it was growing exponentially until the fallout in about 2015 with the oil and gas, because Synovus was a huge contributor to this and subsidized it heavily, where we just no longer had the funds to support 62 schools. Now we run one program, and I'm retired, but I contract out to Seeds Connections to keep the program running and to find new ways of how do we sustain it, how do we make this and make this an integral part of what's going on in our schools, and that so it can be sustained. So we're looking for partnerships, and Ken and I were talking about this, and again, because of the roots in Kiwanis, we were wondering maybe Kiwanis needs to, you know, be more involved in having different clubs sponsor, work with schools in their districts and say, "Okay, you know, we'd like to help you support, you know, X number of students go to this program." We're looking at ways of how to make it work. So in Edmonton, we did have some Edmonton students involved. We had a supervisor there in Edmonton that believed in the program and got some funding, and we had a couple of handpicked schools, but those people retired, COVID hit. We're kind of at the reset button now. But like I said, we were very fortunate. We ran a program this year, a very small program, but it was a huge success and just, again, reinforced everything that the teachers felt about the program before, that it was incredibly vital to offer it. Their kids benefited so much. There is a Indigenous component to the program that really addresses reconciliation issues. We bring in some elders and speakers that work with the students in understanding what's going on with reconciliation and how they can, further that, which is extremely relevant all across
George,
the country.
At that point, thank you for that. I think if anyone here, this is being recorded, reach out to George Taven at Seeds Connection, and he will be able to offer more information, or how can a club get involved. At this point, we'll stop the recording and close the breakout rooms. We're at the 15-minute after mark, so whether it's another coffee, whether it's lunch or breakfast or just a snack, we'll see you in the main room, and hopefully we'll get figured out what need to do for fun and games.
Before you go, please get a hold of me. I'd love to talk to you if you have